I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
And if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that thumbs up button real hard and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks.
And also click that little bell for all of the notifications.
Whee!
Always remember,
If Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it.
hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
Probably our most anticipated movie that's coming out at the end of this year or near the end of this year in a couple of months. Joker. We have some more pretty intriguing information that has come out.
The pitch for the Joker, something that we've all been kind of speculating how it came about. I remember hearing this a long time ago when the Joker was first announced. It was going to be called something like DC Black or DC Dark Label or something like that. And I was like, that's kind of interesting, but knowing the way WB does stuff lately, that's too creative for them. But Empire Magazine, this is actually a little bit old, but this will all come together slowly but surely here. But this actually was put out July 10th, a great day, by the way, and was posted on Twitter by a guy named Johnny S. I'm not going to even try to say his last name, but he actually says, Todd Phillips pitched Joker to WB executives at the after party of the War Dogs premiere. He suggested they begin a new division called DC Black, separating itself from the current crop of DC films. It was also a way of differentiating from Marvel.
And it goes on, I said, let Joker be the first, then let's get fucking great filmmakers to come in. Instead of trying to live in the shadow of the beast, MCU, let's do something they can't. This included $30 million budgets, no CGI hoopla. Let's strip that all away. It'll be liberating.
Hoopla, for anybody that doesn't know, is a lot. I actually got told by a cop one time when I got pulled over that he was going to write me a hoopla of tickets. So there you go. That's how I help you with the definition of hoopla.
If you've ever been in a car with Matt, that would make perfect sense. The green blur was once a thing.
It's so sad because it was such a slow, shitty vehicle. He continues, the energy you get from an actor is different on 179th Street and Jerome Avenue in the Bronx than if we did that with green screen, which, by the way, I don't even know how to do shit like that. There's not one green screen in this movie.
That part right there is just refreshing to hear. I don't even know how to do shit like that. There's not one green screen in this movie. And nothing against, obviously, directors that use green screen. That's a very common thing. But it's just kind of peels it back a little bit, brings it to more of just a simplistic approach of, I don't know, actual sets. And there's something about this movie and everything that's kind of surrounding this movie and making it more simple and having actual sets or locations, filming locations that they go to that is just adding to the intrigue of this film.
It is. It's truly interesting to see that was his approach with this one, because compared to almost anything else out there, the MCU, the DC universe, anything like that when it comes to comic book movies, it's heavily green screen. Looking at Endgame. I mean, even Batman vs. Superman, to a point, is heavily green screen.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things there, and it's executed differently in each point. I think Zack Snyder's color palette actually lends to the green screen stop being so obvious, but when you have a bunch of daylight like in the MCU where they're trying to show everything because it has to be bright and colorful, it really exposes that CGI green screen effect. But this one being no green screen whatsoever, that is intriguing to me. That shows also why we kept getting so many set photos over and over again. It's like I felt like I saw this movie in set photos already, just couldn't hear any of the dialogue. The thing that I loved the most, I said, let Joker be the first and then get fucking great filmmakers to come in instead of trying to live in the shadow of the beast, the MCU. Let's do something they can't. That to me is one of the biggest yes I've seen in a long time. Whether or not WB actually sticks to this or not, I don't know. But as we can see with the Joker anyway, as of now, it will be like this. For the most part. Now, any future films going on after this, who knows? WB can get their hands into it and ruin it like usual. But for now, with the Joker, we got it. Man, that's what's important. That's the difference. That's why we did that last video. Is this a game changer? Because this is so different. And it's still a comic book movie. Whether people want to admit it or not, it's still a comic book movie.
Yeah.
And that's what's so important, is to change things up, make something different. Don't try to emulate what the MCU does. Do something different. And I know there's going to be a lot of people out there, yes, Zack Snyder was trying to do that already, because I could already see in this thread, that's what a lot of people start saying. And yes, he did.
Batman v Superman is and has been inching higher and higher with me. I am enjoying that movie more and more when I watch it. It was, for me, I just loved what he was doing. It felt so different from Marvel, and I appreciated the giant swings he was taking.
I will admit something to you, and this is no lie.
Yeah.
Since Aquaman and Shazam, I have grown in my appreciation of BVS.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to tell me James Wan was taking big swings with Aquaman,
right?
If you're going to use that reasoning for why you like that mess of a movie and not give credit to Snyder for doing the same thing in BVS, then I'm confused by your approach to this situation.
Unfortunately, WB balked at the idea then. This is something different for now. I mean, this is what we need as consumers. Is this something different? Don't emulate the MCU in any way. Let's do something they can't, because Disney's family friendly. And we're probably going to see that with Blade. We're going to see that with Deadpool. We're probably going to get PG-13 versions of those, because they're not going to miss out on the opportunity to make a shit ton of money off of that.
And we've heard the rumors regarding a new division called DC Black, and the fact that this is pretty much confirming that idea came from Todd Phillips. That's pretty awesome. What a great way to pitch it. And on the subject of the Zack Snyder trying to do something a little bit different, it's almost like he was a little bit ahead of his time, and you needed the MCU to be this gigantic beast. And Todd Phillips is coming in at such a perfect moment to be able to pitch something like, hey, let's be different than that. Even though that's what Zack Snyder was trying to do, it doesn't seem like he was able to pitch it that same way, because when Man of Steel came out, the MCU wasn't this juggernaut that it is now. So now Todd Phillips can come in and say, hey, let's have this entire new division of the DC films. Initially, I was kind of worried about this being a movie that's disconnected from what we know as the DCEU, just because I felt like WB was starting to backtrack a little bit. Instead of building a universe, they were going to have these individual one-off films. But if this actually becomes kind of its own division and its own thing, kind of off to the side, where you still get maybe the intertwined universe going on one side, and then you get DC Black over on the other side, we can have some awesome, different comic book movies. I'm excited for that.
A multiverse for the most part. A different origin, a more what if type thing of like, if the Joker was like this in one area, Batman was different. That's what DC Comics are famous for, is the multiverse idea. I mean, that's what the TV shows are trying to work in right now. They're just low budget and shitty. And so
don't pull any punches, Matt.
I haven't been pulling a punch for a while lately. Anyway, so then we pop over to the Empire magazine. And basically, Empire says sometimes he's a man beneath the red hood. In some instances, he's a wannabe comedian who took a tumble into a toxic vat of ace chemicals. In Tim Burton's Batman, he is the killer of Bruce Wayne's parents. And soon we're going to get a whole new origin story. Remember that? Whole new origin story for one of the most iconic characters of all time. In comics, in films, in popular culture, full stop, in Todd Phillips' Joker, a radical new take on the clown prince of crime, inspired by Scorsese and the hard-edged urban cinema of the 1970s. This time, it's Joaquin Phoenix under the happy face makeup, and it's an incarnation that breaks all the rules around the ultimate rule-breaking character.
According to Phillips, it's going to be its own unique beast. He says, we didn't follow anything from the comic books, which people are going to be mad about. The writer-director tells Empire, we just wrote our own version of where a guy like the Joker might come from. That's what's interesting to me. We're not even doing Joker, but the story of becoming Joker. It's about this man.
Very poor choice of words.
So obviously saying that We're not even doing Joker, but the story of becoming Joker, it's about this man. And then obviously him saying we didn't follow anything from the comic books, which people are going to be mad about. Okay, so, and I've seen this. I've seen a lot of videos. Some people saying, what's the point of doing a Joker movie if you don't use anything from the comics? This is what happens when you have an interpretation. And again, this is a character that necessarily doesn't even really have an origin story. We had a great comment on our last Joker video, because we even kind of brought up like the Killing Joke. Wouldn't that be cool to see a live adaptation of The Killing Joke? And somebody put in our comment section, and this is a great comment, by the way, there isn't actually enough material in the Killing Joke comic for a full-length movie. That's why the animated one had so much Batgirl filler.
I do not understand.
I do. I understood that reference.
The Joker really has never even had a name in the comics. Tim Burton is the one that established Jack Napier as a Joker name, and also killing Bruce Wayne's parents in that case. That was nothing at all like the comics, but it was his version, his interpretation of the Joker and Batman. That's kind of the point. You take these iconic characters and you can sprinkle in some comics, even the Nolan trilogy. It's loosely based on any actual Batman comics. It's taking bits and pieces here and there, just like in Batman Nightfall for The Dark Knight Rises, when Batman gets his back broken by Bane. I mean, that's taking little bits and pieces there. Because there's so much limited information on this character anyway, even in the comics, because yeah, they started using the Jack Napier name now with Batman White Knight. But again, that was a Burton-inspired name. So they have now adapted that name in some cases in some of the comics. So we don't even have a name. So the fact of Arthur Fleck is an original name. And the fact that Batman isn't probably going to be in this movie in any capacity that we're aware of, it also makes it hard to do any other forms of his so-called origin story. You can't have him getting pushed over the ledge into a vat of Ace chemicals. And so this is Todd Phillips' interpretation, his version. This is his original story.
I think that's what it partially makes this pretty exciting. And I also think that some people are taking the part where he says we didn't follow anything from the comic books. I think they're taking that a little too seriously in terms of, I'm sure this has to be based in Gotham City. I'm sure there are going to be small aspects of this film to let the viewer know, yes, this is a Joker. Yes, this is the Joker's origin story. But as Matt said, aside from that, there's only so much that they can pull from the comics to really lend itself to this. And I think that's also what makes it kind of exciting. I think about when Zack Snyder talks about his approach to Man of Steel.
Yeah, I guess what we did is, even when we made the movie, we said, okay, we have to pretend like those movies don't exist, because you can't cherry pick like, ooh, that'd be cool just to use the score, because it makes you think like, oh wait, so somehow those universes are linked and that world exists within this world, or I don't know. So we just said, okay, there's no music, there's no images, let's just pretend like we found the comic books under our bed and we're like, hey, let's make this into a movie.
And it almost sounds like that's what Todd Phillips is trying to do. What if we were to find one of the first issues of the Joker in the comics and go, I wonder what this would be like in a live action version, and then kind of adapt it to film based on their own. You don't know anything about the Joker, so you have to kind of build his own backstory, and that's what it seems to me like they're doing. I'm sure there will be aspects to let you know, yes, this is intertwined. Otherwise, they could put him in Phoenix, Arizona, and then, yeah, it's just some dude dressed up as a clown.
I see what you did there. Phoenix, Arizona.
Exactly. That's how my brain works. Barely, but it works. So I think that's kind of the direction that Phillips and company are approaching this. We know of who the Joker becomes, but how does he get there?
Todd Phillips also said Phoenix was always the man for the role. I think he's the greatest actor. We had a photo of him on our computer while we were writing. We constantly thought, God, imagine if Joaquin actually does this. Next, we have something from the executive producer, Michael Uslan.
Damn it! Who typed a question mark on the teleprompter?
A familiar name if you listen to our Batman 89 breakdown. He's still around doing all things Batman related.
So the longtime Batman franchise producer said Todd Phillips is a filmmaker and Todd had an incredible vision for this. All I can tell you is, in my humble opinion, the world is getting a little oversaturated with comic book movies and TV everywhere we turn. Can say that again. When I pick up a newspaper and find out, oh my goodness, on May 5th, 2027, Ant-Man 5 is going to open, I better write that down in my calendar. The world's going to be a little bit haywire. So not being a great fan in any media of oversaturation, I love when something comes out and it's different and it's unique.
That's funny. He thinks there's going to be newspapers in 2027. And an Ant-Man 5. They don't even want to announce an Ant-Man 3. He also continues talking about other movies he found unique in the comic book genre, and then says the Joker movie is different and unique, and it's unlike any comic book movie you've ever seen. Of course, he's going to be hyping up this movie. It's the one he's working on. He's not going to say it's the drizzling shits. Don't go see it October 4th.
Although I would respect any producer that came out and said that.
He also compares it to Martin Scorsese films, the low-budget film noir dramas, in which a lot of people are comparing it to. Taxi Driver, other Martin Scorsese movies as well. That's something that even James Mangold talked about when he was doing Logan.
Hugh was very focused also on making a film that had a more naturalistic vibe. We both in our discussions talked about movies like The Wrestler, Little Miss Sunshine, Paper Moon, a lot of 70s films, a lot of films which very much contradicted the kind of hyper-edited sonic blast that has come to define, in the new millennium, the tentpole movie. We wanted to make something more paced, a little more modest, smaller in scale.
More of a organic feel, and that's what's got me so excited for Joker, and I really hope this movie's good, because I am putting a lot behind it right now. Hopefully it will turn things around and hopefully somehow provide some kind of renaissance, something different. As he said, we need to be different than the MCU. We need to do something they can't, and this is a great start. In case I don't see you,
good afternoon, good evening, and good night.